Big spider problem in this city, Yaz. Glad to be home.
Home, Daisy.
Tell me exactly what's going on, omitting no detail, no matter how strange.
Arachnids in the UK, written by Chris Chibnall, directed by Sally Abrahamian, I think the name is. Apologies if I got that wrong. It's the perfect weekend for this episode, isn't it? Because it's Halloween on Wednesday, and giant spiders, Halloween, seems to fit. I was actually at a Halloween party earlier on today, a kids one. There was lots of ghosts, bats and things hanging up, and a few spiders. I gave them a bit of a sideways look. None of them were trying to eat me, as far as I know, so I might look at them differently if I saw them after this episode, though. My general thoughts on this episode are that we will probably look back on it once the season has finished as a filler episode. I don't think there was anything massively great about it. You know, it had some positives, it had some negatives. It was kind of just felt like a filler episode. There wasn't much in the way of stuff that would particularly stand out in a season in this episode. But there was some good things and some bad things. So let's talk about those. The good. Okay, this is just a visual thing, but did anybody else really love the new time vortex? Because I thought it was absolutely beautiful. It's the first time, other than sort of getting a hint that it might be the time vortex in the credits, of which there were some elements to that in the actual time vortex we saw, but just the kind of the animation or camera direction of it, where the way the TARDIS was flying through it, the colours of it, it was so colourful and rich. And the bit I really loved is when it sort of the TARDIS came out into like a hub where there were sort of different nodes going off in different directions, different time vortexes going off in different directions, and it really felt like a place which you would have to navigate for the first time ever. I think it felt like a place you could actually navigate rather than just one long tube of time vortex, which I thought was really nice and a bit different. I liked that. That was good. We got a lot of guest cast in this episode. Let's start with Yaz's family, because I think it was very important that Yaz got an episode to focus on her background, her developments, and we got that with this episode, so that was nice. We got her mum, her sister, and her dad. I'd say her dad was probably the least. We kind of got we didn't really get much of an impression of her relationship with her dad. We got a bit more of her impression of her relationship with her mum and her sister. I think probably because they're the most confrontational. They're the ones she finds most annoying. Although there was that bit about her rolling her eyes about her dad's conspiracy theories, but on the whole, it was kind of focused mostly on her mum, because her mum was sort of one of the guest stars of the episode, and her sister, who she had previously mentioned having a bit of an adversarial, I can't say that word at the moment, you know what I mean, relationship with, because she'd mentioned in the Ghost Monument that her sister wanted her to move out so she could have her room. So yeah, the family dynamic there was pretty well set up, and I think we got a bit of more of a impression now of Yaz, which was much needed, because I said last week we got a bit more from Yaz last week, but the first two episodes we didn't really get much from her, and this was nice because we got quite a lot from her this episode in terms of her background and her relationships, and her relationships with the rest of the TARDIS crew as well. They were all sort of developed in this episode, so that was nice. Shobna Galati, who played Yaz's mum Nadia, was brilliant. I thought she did a great job in the part. She definitely conveyed that very much the way that mums sometimes do when they can be a little bit annoying and pestering and constantly asking you questions about your life and who are these friends and why, you know, are you dating her? Are you dating him? What's going on here? And just being really nosy, and you kind of got that feeling. You could start to understand why Yaz had made that comment about family in the Ghost Monument, and I criticised that at the time for being very tell not show. Well, now they did the showing, so that was nice. We finally got that. This plot still had quite a lot to do in terms of setting up the series in total, because And I really like this, that Chris Chibnall's taking his time to establish the series and fitting the characters into, getting the characters into the position where they're going to be full-time travellers and companions of the Doctor. You know, every other companion has kind of done that journey of like meeting the Doctor and then deciding to travel with the Doctor in one episode. Maybe a two-parter, but usually one episode, and then suddenly they're like, yes, I want to travel. What I think Chris Chibnall is really clever for doing here is taking his time to build this up. So you've got, this episode ends with them finally deciding, hey, we want to come with you on this journey. But it's taken them 4 episodes to get to that point where they have gone, I want to come with you. And I think that's really good, because it fits very well with Chris Chibnall's realistic take on characters and things, that, you know, people wouldn't necessarily go from meeting someone to wanting to travel the universe with them and you know, having their life threatened and wanting to travel the universe with them instantly. It would take a little time, and I really appreciate that Chris Chibnall has taken these 4 episodes for the characters to get into the place where they want to travel with the Doctor. So that's a nice little touch there, and you've got a bit of build up of that at the beginning of the episode and at the end. First of all, with them getting dropped off at the beginning, finally getting them home, and then being a bit of an awkward goodbye, and then Yaz invites her around to dinner, and then again at the end where they had to do the kind of, oh yeah, we want to come on board, and there was a bit with Graham in the middle, which I will talk about in a minute, because that was really nice, where he goes back home, and that plays into that. So there was a bit of sort of housekeeping in terms of the stuff that needed to happen to get to move the characters on to where they needed to be. And the plot element of it took a little while to get to, which I think was needed, but it did kind of feel like, okay, when are we getting to the giant spiders? A little bit. So there was that, which is, I understand why it was done, but possibly a little bit of a negative. And then, but once the plot got started, I thought, yeah, it could have been scarier. I think they could have bigged up the tension a bit more than they did. But overall, it was a perfectly fine episode. Perfectly fine plot. I felt Chris North, let's talk about Chris North, because I thought he's a big score for the programme. He's been on American TV almost constantly for probably about the last 30 years. Law and Order, to Sex and the City, to The Good Wife. There's not really been any period of time when he hasn't been in a long-running series. So he's quite a good score for the programme, and I think he plays this smarmy businessman come wannabe politician quite well, because you got that kind of brash. It could have been very one note. It could have been very just brash, hey, I'm in charge and I do what I say because I'm a big American businessman type thing. But it wasn't just that. There were the elements of the sort of neuroses, like obsessive compulsive washing his hands that you saw in the bathroom, and just the way he reacted to things when there weren't other people there showed a different side to his character than when he was trying to be all bravado in front of everyone. So that was quite nice. I think he did that really well. Where on the guest cast I think the episode fell down a little bit was the Doctor character. Tanya Fear played the scientist, and I don't know, she just in a series that has focused so much on very realistic portrayals of characters, she felt a bit wooden and a bit, I don't know, just her reactions to things, the way she said things, just didn't ring true to me, and I felt that made her stand out in a negative way against all of the sort of brilliant characterizations of everyone else. So yeah, she didn't quite work for me. We got another nice moment of Ryan and Graham having a little moment, and I think this has moved the story arc of their characters and their relationship on a bit more. There's Ryan gets a letter from his dad, and the interaction that him and Graham have about that, I thought was very touching. Again, Bradley Walsh was brilliant in his reaction. Just this very subtle, he's very good at the subtle reactions on his face, and the very subtle looks. And again, while Ryan was talking during this, you could just see the look on his face and the sort of inner pain, as Ryan said that his dad had referred to his proper family, i.e. implying that Graham wasn't his proper family. And it was just a really nice moment between the two of them. And talking of Graham, that moment when he went back to the house and we got the reappearance of Sharon D. Clarke as a memory, I suppose, or of Graham's when he's in the house and he talks to the imagined ghost of Sharon D. Clarke's character, Grace. That was really touching as well. I think he has surprised me so much that when he was cast, I was like, oh, okay, it's nice that I like that they're going for an older character, but he's just going to be the comic relief guy, isn't he, really? But no, he's really surprised me. He is my favourite of the new companions. Without a doubt, he is the best actor out of the lot of them, and he just pulls it off so amazingly and pulls the real emotion that you can see in his face, and he does the subtlety brilliantly. One thing I can't decide whether or not I would put it in the good category or the bad category about this episode. I'm really conflicted about this, is how the plot was resolved. Because first of all, there was the Doctor running around coming up with a plan, and then they discover the giant spider and discover, oh, it's dying anyway because it can't breathe properly. And so I thought, oh, okay, so now they've got a new dilemma to focus on. What are they going to do about are they going to save this spider? Or and then Chris North's character just comes in and shoots it. It kind of felt, in the moment, very anticlimactic. But also, at the same time, it kind of felt refreshing. Because, all throughout that episode, I was expecting Chris North's character to get his comeuppance somewhere. He was going to be eaten by the spiders or something. Or, almost always in Doctor Who, that kind of character would have been either killed or reformed in some way. And he was neither. He was just shot the spider and walked out with, no consequences whatsoever. And in a way, that's very refreshing. But in a way, it all just ended suddenly and it was a bit anticlimactic. So I'm not sure how I feel about that. So yeah, there was some good points about this episode. There were some bad points about this episode. There were, as I've just said, some points I am not sure how I feel about. So if I was going to give this an out of 10, I maybe about a 6. It's probably my least favourite so far out of the 4 episodes we've had. But, it wasn't a bad episode. It was just average. I would call it an average episode. Now, Prediction Corner. What do I think is going to happen in the rest of the series? Is there anything from this episode we could pick up on that may lead to something? I think Chris North's character has the potential to return. He says he's running for president in 2020. Maybe we'll see him again. Maybe we'll see him in a future episode in that presidential election race. Maybe we'll see him as president. Who knows? I think there's potential there. I think it would be funny to leave him to just walk away and not have him appear again. But then again, I suppose it depends on if they can get the actor again. Maybe it'll be this season. Maybe they're just leaving it open for another season. But I think there's the possibility we haven't seen the last of Chris North on Doctor Who. I still think, and I think I've mentioned this before in a video. I think I've mentioned it in my Series 11 Hopes video, that I think Ryan and Yaz are probably going to on their way to becoming a couple. There's certainly been a few hints about it so far. I think by the end of this series, they may well be a couple. And my final prediction, also about the end of the series, nothing in this episode particularly made me think this, but just generally, and again, I might have mentioned this before, but I think that Graham may die at the end of the season. And I think he may die in a very human way. I think his cancer may come back. I don't think it'll massively be a big alien or, anything massively dramatic. Along with the very much human tone of this series, I think he might die in a very human way. And I think, again, that would be very refreshing for the series if they are brave enough to do that. And it would certainly be interesting to see the effect that has on the team and especially on Ryan after that incident, if the rest of them carry on to season 12, which I certainly hope they will do. So there you go, that's what I thought. What did you think? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, subscribe and all that jazz for more Doctor Who reviews and other pop culture videos from me. Check out some other ones here. I don't know what's going to go there. Something YouTube thinks you might like, and another video, maybe last week's review, maybe something else. But check those out, and I will see you soon. Goodbye.